Magandang araw mga kababayan at welcome sa Kumusta ka Kabayan ngayong Sabado. Very exciting po ang ating pag-uusapan at sinabi na namin, it's our anniversary month, September. So lahat po ng i-feature namin, espesyal. Katulad po ng makakasama natin ngayong araw. So bago po natin introduce, of course, kasama ko ang laging fresh, ang ating section editor ng Ang Pinoy, si Ms. Jean Estrabon. Hi, Ms. Jean!
Hello, Jaisel. Magandang araw din sa iyo. The ever gorgeous na si Jaisel. Stay tuned, mga friends. At marami po tayong pagkakwentuhan ngayon. Kaya, stay.
Stay. So, exciting to, Ms. Jean. Ang ating guest ngayon, actually, mahaba yung nabasa ko at nakita ko pag nag-google ka, no? Pero sabi ko nga, hi, Miss Cory, maraming salamat. Ang sabi ko kay Miss Cory, napakagandang pag-usapan yung mga ginawa niya after he left the Philippines. So, hindi ko na po patatagalin pa. Ang ating pong kakasama ay kasalukuyan. Kasalukuyan po ang mobile journalist sa United States of America. Our guest for tonight is none other than Mr. Sid Balatan. Hi, Mr. Sid! Magandang
Hello
araw!
Po. Maraming salamat sa inyong pag-imbita at I hope ang mga kababayan natin sa Pilipinas ay malakas pa rin ang Pinoy spirit, laban lang.
Laban lang po, tama po. Thank you po. Una, salamat Mr. Sid on behalf of the entire team ng Ang Pinoy. Salamat po sa pag-agree sa amin, of course, through the assistance of Miss Cory. Thank you so much, Miss Cory. So, Miss Jean, umpisahan na natin. Ang tanong mo kanina, bago tayo mag-on-air, itanong mo na ngayon. Oo.
May tanong ako kanina kay Sir Sid na curious ako sa kanyang background. Bago siya naging mobile journalist sa USA, ano siya sa Pilipinas? Ano ang natapos niya? At ano yung story niya sa Pilipinas? Sir, pakwento
Okay,
po.
mukhang mahaba-habang ano yan, but I will just pick up the highlights at yung aking syempre, selective highlights, subjective sa akin yan. So basically, I was born in a province, it's in Isabela. When I was young, mga elementary ako, every dusk, sunset, ang daming dumadaan na military truck. That was 1971-72. And according to my parents and friends, there were body bags from encounters of the NPAs and the military up in the Sierra Madre Mountains. So that was something that was going on. And then when I went to high school, we were very religious family. We are actually a Methodist Church member. And I was at the very early stage or early years, I was like recruited by those activists, Christian activists in our church. So like along the lines of Jesus as a rebel. So even in high school, we were brought to the guidance counselor because we were distributing a leaflet from Ninoy when we were like third year high school, fourth year. And according to our principal, that's subversive materials. It's I think 16 pages, one of the speech of Pinoy Aquino that time. So after that, I went to college at Mapua. I really want to be a scientist. And like my parents, they are both teachers. They're both science teachers in Northeastern College. So when I decided to take my college course, so I went to the best engineering school, as I know that time, because I was a fan of the Filipino guy who invented the moon landing. I think that's San Juan. So I was fascinated by him. So I went there, but that was also the start of the student movement in Manila, in Metro Manila. So with my background as a high school activist, I joined those movement. Then I left my studies, went back to the province, and help organize the youth there and the farmers via the Social Action Center of the Catholic Church under Bishop Purgunan. So there, and then 1986 came, we were there. But on the day itself of the EDSA revolution, I was with British journalists interviewing NPAs in Cagayan province part of the Sierra Madre. So on the second day of the EDSA, we tried to go back home. And then on the third or fifth, we arrived in Mali because it's hard to travel by bus by then. There are so many checkpoints already. So it took me about 24 hours to arrive while my friend took a plane back to Manila. So on the day that we met in Manila, it's already the day that the Marcos left. But we arrived in Malacanang about 6 o'clock. And we get off Mindiola from the taxi that we took. And then we passed by those people from the left organization. I forget the name of those alliance organization before. So we walked towards Malacanang and we saw people. I think those, based on their looks, they are like the urban poor around the Malacanang Palace. They were like battling the presidential security guards by throwing stones and battles. I think they were like the whole of the in front of Malacanang was full of people. So we were on the, if you're facing Malacanang, we were on the left side, trying to see how can we enter the Malacanang Palace. And then, of course, the presidential security guards tried to, I don't know really if they're pointing their gun to the people because there are no people who are like hurt or wounded, but I think, but there were gunfires. Most probably they're firing towards the air because I don't think they really want to kill people at the time. So the people will have to withdraw, hide. Kasama kami. Then when the gun bars stop, people are like crawling back with their new, fresh ammunitions of rocks and battles and the woods, anything that they can pick up. And then with, I don't know who is commanding them, but one person just commanded them to say, throw, then they would throw anything. And then another gunfire. It's like a seesaw for about 15 to 30 minutes. And then suddenly, then I was like looking at back at the Mindiola Bridge, trying to like sending message via my mind that, hey guys, come here, the fight is on. But they are there, like they were like praying or having some candles. So, but they never came. And suddenly, when one of the guys there in front of Malacanang tried to climb the fence, and we were like, okay, this guy will be shot. So we were looking at him. Actually, I have my camera. I'm a photojournalist already at the time, working for Malaya. So I was training my camera to him already. This will be killed. This guy will be. But he was able to go beyond the fence without any gunfire. So then people said, look at each other. So no, okay, so we can go. So we started climbing. Thousands of people started climbing the fence in Malacanang. And there was no resistance already. So we went to every building in Malacanang, and I was able to enter the main building of the Malacanang, not the house, the main, like the office building side, not the family. So it's where the Marcos, President Marcos, hold his daily, at the time, meeting, and there were looting everywhere. So I tried to loot also, but I took a pen with Marcos thing over there. But later on, after when everything subsided, I put back everything because I said this is what we are fighting for a long time. Then why do I have to do it here? Then I just left everything that I took. So that's 1986. That's the culmination of my political activism, because after that I went to my environmental activism.
Oh, sir, may dudugtong lang ako, Miss Gino, kasi nabanggit mo na, sir, yung magic board na ginagawa mo before, photojournalist. And sir, habang kinikwento mo, hindi, sir, madali yung mga panahon na pinagdadaan. I-imagine ko, sir, yung sir, how difficult was it for you to become a photojournalist nung panahon na yon? How difficult it was for you to, take some pictures while, doing some yung news rounds?
Dadagdagan ko, Jaisel, may nakuha ba kayo, sir, na isang photo na kinikip nyo hanggang ngayon na ito yung sabi mo, ito yung masterpiece ko for that day? Andun ako, witness ako, and this is my masterpiece for the day, for my, for my career so far.
Yeah, magandang tanong yan, ano? Yes, that time. But, photojournalists at the time use film, and we process it to a dark room, and then we submit the negatives to the publication. It's not like, and it's like goodbye. I mean, it's filed in the publication, and you really do not know the value of those things that time. So it's unlike now that you can send a copy of the digital photo and then you keep one. Before, you have to trust the negatives, and then I would just like hopefully when I come back in the Philippines, I would just go back to the files of Malaya, because that's where mostly my martial law days photos and documentations were published.
Okay. Sige, sir, tulungan ko kayo. Tatanong ko sa isang friend ko kung if they have, files of your photos. Tapos we'll try to maybe put it sa website natin, Jaisel. We can have a feature of that.
With the approval of Sir Sid. Kasi ang Malaya is very active pa ngayon, sir.
Oh, nga, but I was also talking with friends during that time, and I got feedback that many of the negatives were destroyed or misplaced when because the office of Malaya before is along West Avenue. So when they transferred to Pier, I think
Manila,
many of the negatives, even those friends that are still the Philippines, many of their negatives were lost or misplaced. So
Naku, may
and also not only misplaced, but were like the enemy of the film are like the fungus that creeps into the negative. So those are victims of.
Baka makuha pa natin sa microfilm.
Ang inaano ko na lang yung negative, the newspaper themselves.
Sige, Miss Jean, tulungan natin. Sir, from the time na balik tayo, sir, doon, konting history, 1986 and everything. Tapos, sir, ang sunod niyo pong karera after being a photojournalist, yung kaninang binabanggit yung environmentalist? Or ano po ba yun?
Yeah, may ano pa, may konting journalism pa, because this yung aking kaibigan na British journalist, after noong 1986, nagtayo sila ng sarili nilang dyaryo sa London which called The Independent. So, na-assign siya na bureau manager sa Pilipinas noong 1987. Bumalik siya, kinuha niya akong bureau manager, some sort. So, we worked together until 1991. But during that time, I started already like taking photos on the side as a assistant to him. I already started like looking at the environment as an advocacy. So in 1992, I published my first book. Why did you let this happen? So yeah, so that's the start of my official start of my environmental activism.
At kailan po kayo, sir, pumunta sa US? At ano ang nag-udyok, sir, sa inyo na pumunta kayo sa US together with your family?
2010 kami umalis. It was a hard time during those days when we were deciding whether to go or not, because we have option not to go. Economically, we are okay. We are not super yaman, but we are not really in dire need of financial support. But and also the most important, the family will be divided because two of my children will be left, and only the two will be with us when we migrate to the US. So the thing that really they made us to decide is I just thought that we cannot really miss this opportunity for our two young children to study in the best university in the US. They're younger. Ang panganay ko is babae, then lalaki. Ang panganay ko sa Diliman nag-graduate, yung lalaki ko sa UPLB. So we are all preparing them also to enter the Diliman, the UP system, but dumating nga yung migration papers namin. So sabi namin, sige, pag-aralin lang natin sila ng hanggang matapos ng college, then we'll go back. So yun yung dahilan. And then also 2010, parang unti-unti na tayo bumabalik sa dati sa Pilipinas. I mean, from 1986, parang the old ways natin, bad ways natin is slowly creeping up again. So parang pagod na rin ako, and I just want to have a new life or a new, yeah. So umalis kami. But I have not changed my nationality though. I cannot like inside me, I cannot like be a U.S. citizen. So my two children and my wife are U.S. citizen, but I will never be a U.S. citizen. I think so.
Since sir, since 2010, nakabalik na ba kayo? Naka-visit na ba kayo sa Pilipinas?
Yeah.
And how often naman po?
Siguro in span ng 10 years is like parang once in 2 years. The last is in 2019, I think. Before the start of the pandemic. Yeah, just like a few days when it was declared as a pandemic. Actually, I was in China when it was declared as like a pandemic. December. At the airport, there are already like people wearing masks and everything at the Manila International Airport. But there was no like guidelines yet. But of course, there were already news about the virus, but not on the level of pandemic. But people are already like wearing masks. I'm also wearing masks, I think. I don't know, I forgot. But I can see people lining up with masks already. And I was like, yeah.
Grabe, you were at two tawag dito dalawa I can't find the word. Nasa EDSA kayo no 1986. Tapos nasa China or nearby Wuhan ba noong 2019. So I mean, how naghihintay pa ba tayo ng third na presence niyo sa isa pang something na globally
actually, yung time ko with the independent, 3 years yan, that's also when we have so many kudita.
Oh.
Yeah, so kudita, Pinatubo, everything. And then when the British journalist, my boss that time, left because medyo nagda-die down na yung people power. He was assigned here to see what will happen to the people power because that's a new global political event. So the European people are very interested what will happen. So yeah, that was interesting times because of the kudita and everything. And also in 1991, I think the Mount Pinatubo, so sama-sama na yon. So there were really big events to cover as a journalist during those 3 years.
Wow.
So noong 1992, nung umalis yung British boss ko, I was hired by Kyodo News. Then I stayed there for a long time until 2010. Because and during my stint with Kyodo News, I later on I became the bureau like head of the photo and video section of the bureau. So I also have the opportunity to cover events in Asia, like the kudita in Indonesia, the student movement struggle in Korea, the Myanmar political events. I was able to see and interview Aung San Suu Kyi, and I was able to also interview and talk to the fallen president of Indonesia. I was so the student one in like a funny thing that happened in South Korea when they learned that I'm a Filipino journalist. In the rally, they asked me to sing bayan ko. Because the people power is famous, so I sang a little bit. I don't know if they realized that I'm out of tune, but I just tried my best.
Sir, nung ang ganda sir ng napakaswerte niyo sir. At sabi niyo nga sa mga experiences niyo na napuntahan niyo at na-interview niyo yung mga fallen president. Ang ganda sir ng karera niyo.
Swerte niyo rin. Ngayon ko lang kinukwento ito. Walang nakakaalam.
Sir, magpipitch lang ako. Jason, magpipitch lang ako. Sir, kasi hindi ako sure ha. Kasi nung nag-aaral ako ng journalism sa UP Diliman, I mean, wala ako nababasa tungkol sa mga Filipino na journalists. Walang books noon. I'm not sure, after so many years, kung meron na tayong mga books about, Filipino journalists, yung stories nila, how they survive yung pagiging journalist nila sa times na, like sa iyo, 86 kayo to 2010. So andun yung lahat ng events na magandang basahin ng mga students, ng journalism students. So I'm hoping na you could share somehow your life, your experiences, mga takeaways, mga lessons doon sa pagiging journalist ninyo. Then maybe share it with with aspiring journalism students para lang po makadagdag po tayo sa reading materials ng mga bata. So they would know.
Lalo na sa panahon ngayon, no?
Exactly. So I'm interested. I hope that, ibang mga journalism students could probably be interested as well sa buhay ninyo. Kasi baka may makuha rin kami. May lessons din kayo makukuha. Pitch lang po, sir.
Oo, sir, baka pag nakapag-ipon kami ng mga estudyante, invite sir namin kayo na.
Oo.
Baka pwede niyo pong i-share.
Tingnan natin kasi oo, yeah, of course, very much willing tayong i-share ano, para magkaroon sila ng historical context ng where we are now, ano, ibang-iba na kasi. If we maybe fast forward ang topic, all those things that I'm talking or sharing right now are like hindi na siya masyadong magmamatter in terms of technical side, ano, but the things are like in journalism, yung mga basic na mga tenets ng journalism are still there, lalo na yung mga tinatawag natin na those things that we do not we cannot see and we cannot touch. The ballpen, the computer, the papers and everything, those things we can touch, but the tenets of journalism, those that we cannot touch and we cannot see, we cannot smell. But that's a problem that yun na yung advocacy ko, ipa-fast forward natin, because those things that's lumped into one word called truth, yan ang problema natin yan. It's being assaulted left and right, down and above. And at some point na-jar din yung aking ano ba yung truth. I mean, I don't know, it's like samot-saring synergy na ng mga information ng
and then put in technology, di ba?
Oh, it's something like technology should improve us and everything, improve humanity in general. But it seems that the good side of the humanity are like they still do not know what to do. Yeah, it seems that the bad side, the dark side of humanity was able to understand and use for themselves the technology ahead of the good side. That's so there's still a good side and a bad side. That's always the truth. There's still
Jason, i-ano ko lang, i-connect ko lang dun sa, kasi yung sinasabi mo ngayon na si Sir Sid ay hindi na siya katulad before na traditional journalist. Ano na siya ngayon? Jason, yung
dudugtungan ko na. Kasi di ba sir, pag alis niyo sir dito 2010, ang una kong gustong itanong, ano sir ang ginawa niyo sa US? Pinagpatuloy niyo pa ba yung pagiging journalist? Hanggang sa ngayon, di ba sir, sabi niyo nga, you're a mobile journalist now. Yun yung isa sa tanong ko. Ano ang ginawa niyo sir after umalis ng Pilipinas at tumating sa US? At sir, ano yung may nakita sir kami na may tinulungan kang isang church sa Australia para sa mga Pinoy, para sir mas mapalaganap yung sa news. Is it part of you being a mobile journalist?
Oo naman. After nagpunta ako dito, syempre ano pa rin tayo, fired up by our traditional experience as a journalist. So ang ginawa ko, I put out a newspaper for the Phil-Am community. Actually, it's a lot of different newspapers from, there's one newspaper in Seattle, in LA. At the same time, nung nalaman ng mga kaibigan natin sa GMA7 na papunta ako ng America, they told me to be their correspondent. Sabi ko, ayoko na maging correspondent. Mag-i-enjoy ako doon. But they said, sige na, gawin mo na to. So before I left, binigyan nila ako ng GMA7 ID, ginawa nila akong ganyan. No? Sige, hindi ako magpapadala ng story sa inyo. Basta, baka ano. So, but anyway, siyempre, journalist ka pa rin. Nagpapadala pa rin ako sa kanila ng mga report, ano? Paminsan-minsan. Pag meron silang gustong ipa-cover, kino-cover ko rin. Pero ang talagang ano ko is magtayo ng newspaper. And it was a good, between 2010 hanggang mga 2015, ganyan. Okay naman yung mga newspaper. But at the same time, na-involved din ako sa isang TV, ano rito, Phil-Am TV, ang tawag, as consultant. So marami akong na-involve ako as a journalist in so many ways dito sa sa Amerika pa rin. But by 2016, yung mga dahil I am the publisher, yung mga yung mga advertiser are starting to wane down, ano? Kasi nga yung pagpasok na ng social media, ng Facebook and everything. So, yung access nila sa mga news, what kami magbabasa ng diaryo mo na yung community paper mo, meron na kami access sa Inquirer, sa Malaya, sa mga newspaper sa Pilipinas. So, slowly, yung mga printed newspaper sa Amerika, not only in LA, unti-unti na rin nagsara. Even the mainstream na mga newspaper sa US, unti nagsara. So, realizing that, I like change my journalism thing to a more like social media journalism.
Mm-mm.
But actually, in social media journalism, there are still a lot of categories inside it. So I went into a mobile journalism because basically what differs a mojo, I call it mojo, mobile journalism, to others, that you only use your mobile phone. As I compare like the quality of the photos when I was using a DSLR, a Nikon or a Canon, and the quality of the photos of the mobile phones are a lot better than what we are using before in terms of resolution, quality, and everything. So, yeah, you can be a journalist by just having mobile phone. So, I coined the word Go Mojo. That's my mantra. Go mobile journalism. So that's what I'm like. That's the reason I was in Australia. Basically to teach mobile journalism to churches.
Wow.
Yeah, because my brother there is a pastor in Sydney.
Sir, kumusta po ang reception ng mga taga-Australia sa mobile journalism?
Yeah, they're doing good right now. My brother pastor has like a talk show. One student, Simon, an Australian, he was doing his own videos, and he has like 30,000 to 70,000 of views in his videos. So, yeah, even during the pandemic, that's why we were talking with my friends that I think the Lord has told us something in advance in preparation for the pandemic. So we are all now like armchair journalists.
Tama kayo dyan, sir. Yan nga po ngayon sa US din, sir, I guess yan po isa sa pinakamalaki ngayon. I actually read na yung ibang mga network sa US, sir, inarmed na talaga nila yung mga reporters with phones na pwede nang mag-upload lahat through mobile.
Yeah, it's good and bad because every individual person now can be a TV network. Like 30 years ago, if you do not have hundreds of millions of dollars or pesos, you cannot put off a TV network. But with some technical knowledge of YouTube and everything, then you can have your own network already, and you can earn. So there is some like a very big shift on what's journalism now. I think we are still on the movement. We are still like sabi nga ni Blas Ople, we're still in the interregnum of things between the future journalism and the traditional journalism. We're really like still looking or figuring out what will be the journalism in the future. And that's actually something that I'm really looking forward to put on some more time. What kind of journalism we will have, especially on how we solidify the bedrock of journalism, which is the truth. One's truth is like one question to you guys. Can you imagine journalism without the concept of truth?
Ako, sir, no. Mahirap.
Oh, parang anchor natin yan. I mean,
Yes.
that's our like that's our heartbeat. The truth is our heartbeat. Pag wala ng truth, but the truth now is being like
Relative.
Some forces wants to erase the like the concept of truth in our lives. Like the conspiracy theorists in the pandemic. But the problem is like people believe them. Even my sister who is a pharmacist believe them. My friends who are very intelligent believe them. I just really want to share a very sad thing that happened to one of my friends who died of COVID like 5 days ago. And he was not vaccinated. We were telling friends, parents were telling him, magpa-vaccinate ka na, kaya ko yan, blah, blah, blah. So, but, yeah, so, yung power of the information revolution to assault the truth is really, really scary. Even in the US, there's a very, very strong, like, when President Biden issued a mandate for schools and everything, 23 governors filed a case against him. And these people do not want to be vaccinated. Their term is like, do not let the people choose. But if you let people choose to be not vaccinated, then they become the source of the spread of the vaccine. So what's that? I mean, that's an ultra democracy that we called before. There's no like an ultra democracy or something. There's only a responsible democracy.
Pero sir, playing devil's advocate lang. Kasi ang tanong mo kanina, kasi people would say na truth is relative eh. So your truth may not be my truth. If you insist on ramming your truth down, ramming down yung concept mo ng truth sa akin, then are you being a nagko-control ba kayo ng isipan ng ibang tao? So shouldn't people be allowed to have their own truths, to go look for it? Pero you as a journalist, parang meron kayong role, meron kayong responsibility to give it to them objectively. Kasi this is what people do not believe at all anymore. Kasi sinasabi nila, hindi ko mo na, nasa network ka, or you have the microphone, then you have the truth. Some people also have the truth and they want to own up to it. But you as a journalist, how would you tell people na your truth is somehow twisted or your truth is uneducated?
Yeah, that's really a very good question. That's why your question is something that is linked to what I'm saying a while ago, that what kind of journalism should we have in the future? Because there are truth that are truth, there are truth that are perceptive truth, but there are also truth that are proven truth. Like for example, when we go to the truth of science, and people say the Earth is flat, are we as journalists would even publish that story when you know that it's lie? So, for example, even Facebook, they were already like cleaning up Facebook. When they see that something is lie, they will not publish it because it's a lie. Like when you say something a totally lie, like for example, the Philippines is in the American continent, and sometimes people will believe it. People believe that the world is flat. And like for example, science, yeah, even Hollywood star, they're supporters of the flat Earth. Like for example, science. Science says 99% of the people who are dying from COVID are unvaccinated. But yesterday, I just received an email from a member of our church that says 99.9% of vaccinated people are the one dying. So, and even now, every day I see in the newspaper in the U.S. The respected newspaper, they would say, or they will pick up a statement from a person like DeSantis or even Trump that says something that the election is rigged. So why do we have to amplify those things? We journalists, we cannot say, okay, your truth, the truth of Trump, he is entitled to his truth. I'm entitled to his truth. No, that you can only say that if you're not a journalist, we as a journalist should discern what is the truth, because there is a bedrock truth. Truth cannot be. Yeah, I also believe that the truth is relative before, but I think we are applying that in a wrong wrong perspective. Like when I say this is a cell phone, this is the truth, right? But I can always say no, that's your truth. But as far as I'm concerned, what you're holding is something like a piece of metal. That's my truth. So, but which will confuse who your truth will who will what will confuse more the readers or the viewers, your truth or my truth. And we as journalists, we are told to like make the message as clear as possible to your readers. Do not confuse them. So saying that I'm right. That's why I'm saying sana we can really look in now so that we can already have some new parameters of journalism in the future.
Yes.
Hindi na natin pwedeng gamitin yung yung old parameters ng journalism. Ngayon kasi ang information comes in like travel around the world in a split second. So ang importante ngayon is parang sino yung mauna sa tao. So kung mauna ka sa tao at magpapaliwanag, pag dumating na yung truth, like for example, I'm a very religious person, as I told you a while ago. Even my activism comes from my faith. So the Bible say, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Take out the divinity on that. Alisin mo na yun. Just take it as a the base value of the sentence. So I'm the way, because there should be a way for us, for the people, for humanity to move on. Diba? Hindi na pwedeng walang way. There should always be a way. Then there should also be a truth. Diba? There should also be a truth, because the truth will guide. It will be the North Star of the way. There should be like, this is the way, but you're looking something.
And then there is life.
So the whole thing, the whole journey is your life. So hindi I'm a strong believer of relativity of things before, because of Marx, Engels, and everything, the Marxism, everything. But there are some bedrock tenets of things that we should anchor ourselves. Once we believe that of the absolute relativity, then I don't know. I want to have a meaning in my life. So if I don't I believe in a complete relativity, then if what life do have? What meaning of life do we have if we really have to accept that as our guiding principle? Maybe before, not in the future.
Oo. Grabe natutunan ko.
Ang ganda ng
Today, I have just been schooled. Ganda.
Maganda
Sir, thank
yung
you.
tanong mo, Miss Jean. Napakaganda ng sagot ni Sir. Ako, ganyan talaga kasi totoo ang lahat ng sinabi ni Sir.
Totoo, sir. Yeah, totoo. I've noted yung bago sa ears ko, bedrock truth. Tapos new parameters of journalism kasi going into the future tayo eh.
Yes.
And then a different concept of I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's a different meaning doon sa Bible verse na we all know every day we hear this pero ibang take ninyo. And yes, I've been scolded.
But no, don't take what I say hook, line, and sinker. These things are moving ideas, visions, and everything. But
exactly.
that's why I said I feel that we are in like in a crossroad right now.
Oo. Interregnum, sabi nyo. Another word for me today. Interregnum.
Sana maraming makapanood nito para mas marami silang matutunan na napakaganda. So I just have few questions na lang po kasi medyo napahaba na ng konti. Miss Jean, bago ako magtanong ng last 2 questions ko kay Sir, may tanong ka pa ba?
Wala akong tanong pero meron akong a request na if you could, maturuan nyo. I mean, ma-share nyo yung experience nyo, yung knowledge nyo, opinions nyo, your thoughts nyo on the rising, new journalism student or anybody just interested sa information, sa news, then it would probably, it would be a big help to us and to the future adults sa Pilipinas. And even the adults.
Yeah, if I will be given opportunity then I very much willing.
Ayan. Ms. Jean, pagtulungan natin yung sa mga journalism students. Marami kami, Sir, mapupul. Sir, 2 tanong na lang po ako. Sir, doon sa karera nyo as a journalist, and sa tingin ko, Sir, hindi talaga, nasa dugo nyo na yan at hindi kayo talaga matigil, Sir. In one word, Sir, how do you describe your life as a journalist?
I would say it's always like a truth seeker. It's always our life is always seeking for the truth of life. So I would say my journalism is always seeking for the truth. So truths maybe is the one word that you're asking.
Thank you so much, Sir. And Sir, and the last one is dahil, Sir, pinag-uusapan natin yung future. Nabanggit nga ni Miss Gina. Sana, Sir, talaga mas marami tayong kami ni Miss Jean, we will help, Sir, para makakuha ng mga estudyante at iba pa dito sa Pilipinas na pwedeng makinig, Sir, sa inyo. Ano, Sir, ang pwede niyong i-advise sa mga nandito na sa mundo nito ng journalism at doon sa aspiring? Ano ang 3 qualities na dapat meron, Sir, sila?
3 qualities na meron sila. Unang-una, I was propelled by courage or bravery. Journalists will always be brave and courageous. If without that, I don't know if you can be a journalist if you do not have those qualities. Be brave. Yan ang number 1. Ang dami mo kasing sasabakang hindi lang physical danger, kundi mental, malilito ka, matatakot ka, everything. So that's number 1. You must have that quality. Pangalawa, tingin ko is or ito yung pangatlo, no, para mayroon tayong yung pangalawa yung sinabi ko, bravery. Pangalawa, you must really have you must have to master your skill as a journalist. You cannot like produce any content, journalism content, without the mastery of your craft, because you have to present your message, or you have to communicate your message in a very, very clear way using your skill. Akala ng maraming tao, pagka ang isang nabasa nila ay napakasimple, parang binasa mo lang yung first paragraph tapos ka na. That is a very skillful journalist. So you have to master your craft. That's number 3. Number 2, yung sinabi ko kanina, brave. Yeah. And number 1, I think isa ring nag-ano sa akin is you have to have love for humanity. Humanity, unahin mo yung kapakanan ng humanity before yourself or individual self. Humanity in the sense of your immediate society, immediate community. Kasi ang journalism naman, basically sinasabi natin traditionally, it's a public service. So, kung hindi mo kayang mahalin ng iyong kapwa, nahihirapan din akong isipin kung paano magiging journalist. Lagi tayong ganyan ng mga journalist laging nakikipag-away tayo sa mga columns natin, expose natin ang truth dahil gusto natin mahinto ang injustice, mahinto ang corruption, mahinto ang kasinungalingan, mahinto ang pagmumura, ibalik ang morality, ibalik ang katotohanan, everything. So, yun lahat yun in one word, pagmamahal yun sa kapwa. So, sabi nga ni Jesus, whatever you did to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. So, gamitin ng mga journalists yun, then they're good. They're on the right way.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. Very enlightening na, Miss Jean.
Oo, bago yan.
Sir, maraming salamat on behalf of the Ang Pinoy team. Message po para sa inyong mga, of course, sa aming mga kababayan na nandito sa Pilipinas at sa mga inyong mga kamag-anak na nandito rin sa Pilipinas. Panghuli po.
Ang gusto ko sanang message sa mga kababayan natin is yung presence ko dyan. I really wanted to go home. Your faith is found in the middle of your people suffering. So, habang wala ako dyan, parang ang hirap magbigay ng message. Parang kayo dapat ang nagbibigay ng message sa amin. Sabihin niyo, uwi lang rito, tulungan niyo kami rito and everything. So, parang hindi tama na ako mag-best. But technically, for students, not as a Filipino, for students, ang masabi ko lang sa kanila, as a student of journalism, iyan ang pinaka-fulfilling na career as far as I'm concerned. Dati, inisip ko rin magpakayaman, maging milyonaryo. Inisip ko rin maging politiko and everything. But sa exposure ko ngayon for like 20 to 30 years as a journalist, from established journalist or establishment journalist to individual journalist, I think I can say na and even related to my faith, then journalism like wraps me up as a whole person.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Sid. Miss Jean, ang message mo sa ating mga kababayan bago ko i-wrap up at magpaalam.
Ano message? Salamat. I mean, I hope you have learned a lot sa mga na-share ni Sir Sid, and may this, propel us to a better Philippines, better future. and always seek for truth. Sabi, always seek for truth. So if you ask me, Jaisel, to write a short story about Sir Sid, the title na dito is Sid, the Truth Seeker, kasi that is what he has, na-imprint niya sa akin for today. So, salamat Sir Sid sa mga share niyo sa amin.
Maraming salamat din.
Yun lang,
maraming
Jaisel.
salamat din sa opportunity.
Salamat.
Thank you so much, Sir Sid, and thank you, Miss Jean. Hintayin natin yung support dito sa ating interview kay Sir Sid na binabanggit mo. So, mga kababayan, doon po sa ating mga aspiring journalists at na-mention ni Sir kanina, you have to have these three things. Sabi niya nga, love for humanity, of course, yung pangalawa is bravery, and the third one is yung master, of course, your skills. So, Sir Sid, maraming salamat, and hihintayin namin kayo dito sa Pilipinas, but bago kayo makabalik, sana, Miss Jean, matulungan natin yung mga ibang journalism. We will try to contact few schools na pinanggalingan natin at mga kakilala natin para sana, sir, ma-impart nyo rin ang ganyang knowledge na nakuha namin. So, muli, thank you so much, Sir Sid. Mga kababayan, please don't forget to visit our portal. It's www.angpinoy.net. And of course, this episode will be shown later through YouTube, ang Pinoy channel. So, please don't forget to like and subscribe and just look for ang Pinoy channel. So, muli, this is Chaisel. Thank you so much. And Sir Steve, stay safe po dyan. Thank you.
Salamat din.
Thank you.